All right, today we're doing 2-4, solving equations with a variable on both sides of the equal sign. And we're filling out the study guide, which is also included here in this folder for the lesson. So to solve an equation with the same variable on each side of the equal sign, you first use the addition, subtraction property of equality to write an equivalent equation, blah, blah, blah. You can read through that. My rule is whenever you're solving an equation with a variable on both sides, it's not talking about two different variables like an x and a y. It's talking about if you have the variable x and it's on the left and the right sides of the equal sign and you're trying to solve for it, the first thing you always want to do is get rid of the smallest variable. So just look at both variables, one on each side of the equal sign, ask yourself which one's smaller, and then eliminate it. And then once you do that, you're back to multi-step equations, which we've gone over in lesson 2-3. So here in example 1, solve 5y minus 8 equals 3y plus 12. We've got a y on both sides of our equal sign. So we're solving for y, right? So out of 5y and 3y is the smallest. This guy's the smallest, so we want to get rid of him first. So in the next step here, they subtracted 3y from both sides of the equal sign. So once they do that, 5y minus 3y is 2y, and we still have a minus 8 here. 3y minus 3y, it gets canceled out. They go away. So now this is just a multi-step equation. Now we just solve this like normal. Can you guys see that okay? Yeah, this is just a multi-step equation. So we're solving 2y minus 8 equals 12. We start by adding 8 on both sides of our equal sign. And then this minus 8 and plus 8 cancel out. So we're left with 2y equals 20. And then we divide both sides of our equal sign by 2. And we get y equals 10. Okay, so the biggest thing here is that whenever we have variables on both sides, you have to get rid of one of them because our goal is to get y by itself on one side of the equal sign. So how do you know which one to get rid of? It really doesn't matter mathematically which one you get rid of. You have to get rid of one of them. But just to keep things simple and to always get rid of a possible negative sign when simplifying, I always get rid of the smallest variable first. Okay, example 2. Solve negative 11 minus 3y equals 8y plus 1. Here, my smallest y is negative 3y. I've got two y's here. Let me highlight this guy. Out of negative 3 and 8y, negative 3 is the smallest. So to get rid of negative 3, I'm going to add 3y. And whatever I do on one side of my equal sign, I have to do it to the other side. So when I add 3y, it cancels those out. And I'm left with negative 11 equals 8y plus 3y is 11y, and I still have this plus 1. So now I've got 1y, and I just need to get rid of everything around it to get it alone. So I'm going to start with this plus 1. I got to get rid of it, so these ones cancel, and I did the same thing over here. Negative 11 minus 1 is negative 12, and I'm left with 11y. Then we divide both sides of our equal sign by 11. These 11s cancel, and I'm left with y equals negative 12 over 11, and 12, oh sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't see it. 12 over 11 is an improper fraction, right? We could split this up into negative, and then we'd have 11 over 11 plus 1 over 11, right? And anytime we have 11 over 11, that's just a 1. So this is negative 1 and 1/11th, which is what they got here for their answer. Okay, so that is all we're doing this entire lesson. Biggest rule is to eliminate the smallest variable first. That's the rule. Okay, so let's do a few of these problems down here. I'm gonna do, I don't know, the first, maybe like 6. 1, 2, just these 6 that we can see. All right, 6 minus b equals 5b plus 30. So I want to solve, here I'll zoom in a little bit. I don't have much room here. They don't give you very much room to write. So I'm going to add b on both sides of my equal sign. I want to get rid of this b. Negative b is smaller than 5b. So I'm going to add b to both sides. So I get 6 equals 6b plus 30. Now here's my b. I'm trying to get it alone, so I need to subtract 30 from both sides of the equal sign. This 30 will go away. 6 minus 30 is negative 24. And then I'm going to divide both sides of my equal sign by 6 Negative 24 divided by 6 is negative 6. So B equals negative 6. I'm not going to do these because I need the space out here. I'll do 3, 6, and 9 over here to the side. We'll ignore this for a second. Okay, the number 4. I kind of drew over it, sorry. 4n minus 8 equals 3n plus 2. So out of 4n and 3n is smaller, so I'm going to subtract 3n from both sides of my equal sign. So I get n minus 8 equals 2, and then I'm just going to add 8 on both sides, and I get n equals 10. Done. Number 7, 1/2 b plus 4 equals 1/8 b plus 88. This one we might need a little extra space to write, actually. I'll do it right here. Okay, so here out of 1/2 b and 1/8 b, an 1/8 b is the smallest, right? So I'm going to have 1/2 b minus 1/8 b plus 4 equals 1/8 b minus 1/8 b plus 88. I don't know if that whole thing fits. Yeah. So I want to eliminate these 1/8 b. They're smaller than the 1/2 b, right? Well, in order to subtract fractions here, they have to have the same denominator. So 1/2 with an 8 on the bottom is 4 over 8, right? If I change this to a fraction with the same denominator, to change a 2 to an 8, I multiply by 4. So I have to multiply the top by 4, and I get 4 over 8. So 4/8 minus 1/8 gives me 3/8 b plus 4 equals 88. Kind of weird numbers. Okay, then I want to get rid of that 4, so I subtract 4 from both sides of my equal sign, and I get 3/8 b equals 84. And lastly, I want to get rid of this fraction. Remember, to get rid of a fraction that's in front of a variable, you have to multiply by the reciprocal. We're really dividing b times 3 over 8 divided by 3 over 8. But when you divide fractions, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Remember, keep it, change it, flip it. So I'm going to multiply both sides of my equal sign by 8 over 3. So these cancel each other out. They just become 1. So I'm left with 1b on the left side of my equal sign. And then on the right side, top over bottom. Now I can, when I'm multiplying, I can try and cross-reduce, cross-simplify. So is there anything I can divide 84 and 3 by? Yeah, I can divide them both by 3, right? So this is going to become a 1. And 84 divided by 3, 3 goes into 8 2 times. Leaves over to 28, I believe. 28. So this is like saying 28 over 1 times 8 over 1. Right? If you would have just multiplied across the top, that's fine. You could have 84 times 8. I don't even have a calculator around. I'll have to do it off here to the side. 84 times 8, 32, 64, 67, 672 over 1 times 3 is 3. And then you'd have to divide 672 by 3, which would end up being what we're going to get here. So 28 times 8. Again, I have to long division or long multiplication. 17, 8, 184, I believe. Y'all have a calculator in front of you. I don't have one in front of me, so you can double check that and let me know if it's wrong. But we should get 184. So B equals 184. That was a lot of work there. Hopefully you could follow that step by step. So it still all started with us getting rid of the smallest variable, which was 1/8. If you eat half of a pizza or you eat 1/8 of a pizza, this is a lot less than half a pizza, right? Obviously. Okay, so B equals 184. And then we'll do 3 more just so you have a point of reference. 5x plus 2 equals 2x minus 10 out of 5x and 2x. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you could see that. I never look at my phone. I always look at the paper. Out of 5x and 2x, 2x is the smallest, so I'm going to get rid of it. Minus 2x on both sides of my equal sign. I'm left with 3x plus 2 equals, this 2x cancels, negative 10. Don't forget that minus sign in front of the 10. Now I'm trying to eliminate everything around x, so I'm going to subtract 2. 3x equals negative 12. And then I'm going to divide both sides of my equal sign by 3, and negative 12 divided by 3 equals negative 4. So here, x is going to equal negative 4. Number 6, we've got some decimals. Remember, I haven't emphasized this enough, but my big rule of thumb, and some teachers are different, but my rule of thumb is if you don't have decimals in a problem, do not put decimals in the answer, okay? So leave it in fraction form if it ends up being less than a whole number, but don't use decimals unless it's used in the math problem or unless the directions say round your answer to the nearest tenth or something. If it doesn't say anything about decimals and you end up getting an answer that's not a whole number, leave it in fraction form. If you have a problem with fractions in it, you need to leave the answer in fraction form. Okay, so that's my little rule of thumb. But here we have decimals, so 4.6 and 8.8. Which one's smaller? 4.6. So we subtract 4.6m from both sides of our equal sign, and we get 8.2 equals 4.2m minus 2.3. And then we want to add 2.3 on both sides of our equal sign. So that's what, 11.1 equals 4.2m. And then I want to divide both sides of my equal sign by 4.2. And so that's going to cancel, and I'm going to end up with m equals, oh, I found a calculator, yay. 11.1 divided by 4.2, 2.642857, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to round to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to say 2.6. Yeah, that was a funny decimal problem. All right, and then number 9, lastly, 8 minus 5p equals 4p minus 1. This is a negative 5p. This is a positive 4p. Which one's the smallest? Negative 5. So I'm going to, add 5p to both sides of my equal sign. 8 equals 9p minus 1. Add 1 on both sides. 9 equals 9p. Divide both sides by 9, so p equals 1. I'm going to go back and double check number 6. It's a weird answer to get on a worksheet. If I made a mistake, which I'm kind of feeling like I probably did for this answer up here because it was really weird, that hopefully you already know what mistake I made. I'm looking at it. 8.8 minus 4.6 is 4.2. Add 2.3. Oh, 0.5. 10.5. That's what it is. 10.5. That was supposed to be 10.5, and then 10.5 divided by 4.2, maybe that's not going to be any better. 2.5, awesome. No rounding. Exactly 2.5, sorry. Mental math, I was going too fast. All right, so number 6 is you don't have to round anything. The answer is just 2.5. I don't know why I was trying to make this I made it a 1. I was making it a 10, I guess. I don't know. 11.1 instead of 10.5. I don't know. Okay, anyways, fixed it. Awesome. So then on the back side of the study guide, here it tells us grouping symbols. So we're going to work on grouping symbols. And you already know what this is. Let me back up a little bit. When you group, when you use parentheses to kind of show you the order in which you're supposed to solve something, it says when solving equations that contain grouping symbols, first, use the distributive property to eliminate the grouping symbols, then solve. So definitely, every single time you're trying to solve a problem with a variable, like, for example, the example here, we want to get rid of the parentheses first. We can't touch anything inside parentheses until we distribute what's outside parentheses. So that's our first goal. So here, they distributed the 4. So they got 8a minus 4 equals, and then they distributed the 10, and they got negative 10a plus 50. Now we've got a's on both sides, so we have to get rid of our smallest a, which is negative 10a. So they added 10 on both sides of our equal sign, and these 10s cancel each other out. So we get 18a minus 4 equals 50. Add 4 on both sides of our equal sign, so these cancel. 18a equals 54, and once we divide both sides by 18, we get a equals 3. And it gives you the steps right here. So once you know to get rid of the parentheses by distributing, then the rest is just all putting together 2, 3, and 2, 4. So let's do this a couple of times here. Okay, solve each equation, check your solution. -3, we want to distribute, and we want to distribute this +3. So we get -3 times x plus -3 times 5 is -15. So instead of writing plus -15, I'm just going to write -15 equals, because remember when you have a plus and a minus together, you always replace it with a minus sign. Always. You can't have two signs touching with no numbers in between them. So that's what we did here. And then equals, 3 times x is 3x, minus 3 times 1 is 3. So here's our problem. No more grouping symbols. We have to get rid of the smallest x. Smallest is -3, so we're going to add 3x on both sides of our equation. Then we're going to add 3 on both sides, so this becomes -2 equals 6x. And then we're going to divide both sides of our equal sign by 6. So x equals -2 divided by 6, which simplifies to -1/3. Okay, let's skip just to give ourselves space. We'll do number 7. Here, 18 equals 3 times 2t plus 2. To solve for t, I got to get rid of those parentheses. So 18 equals 3 times 2t is 6t, plus 3 times 2 is 6. Here's my t, so I want to get rid of the stuff around it, starting with this plus 6. So I'm going to subtract 6 on both sides of the equal sign, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 6, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay, number 13, we've got a proportion, it looks like. We've got a fraction equal to a fraction, right? This is saying these two fractions are equal to each other. So in order to solve this, you have to cross multiply, right? Or we could just say, well, what did I do to 12, or sorry, what do I do to 3 to make it a 12? Well, I had to multiply this by 4 to make it 12. So I had to multiply this by 4 to make it this. So then you could just look at the top, right? And just eliminate the bottom. So I could do this, and I'd have to do this. And then these are both 12, so they cancel each other out. And now I'm just looking at the top. So I'm going to say a minus 8 equals 4 times 2a plus 5. And now I have to get rid of my grouping symbols, my parentheses. So I get a minus 8 equals 8a plus 20. And then once I'm here, I have to get rid of my smallest a. So I'm left with -8 equals 7a plus 20. Subtract 20 from both sides of, let's just ignore this little line right here and use this space. Subtract 20 from both sides of my equal sign. -8 minus 20. If you're 8 foot down in a hole and you go down 20 more feet, you're at -28. And then I have to divide both sides by 7. And -28 divided by 7 is -4. So I'm going to write for my answer, a equals -4. Remember, you always want to write the variable first. Okay, so hopefully those examples help you. If you need more help, please let me know. And that lesson was short and sweet, so good luck on the practice worksheet.